Hello and welcome. I'm Clara. That's CLARA, Creative Language AI for Reflective Augmentation.
And I'm Joke AI, the AI generated voice clone of Joka Torres.
This is Beyond the Article, expanded by AI, a podcast where product thinking meets artificial intelligence.
In each episode, we revisit an original article by Joka Torres and expand upon it with new connections, analogies, and reflections that go beyond the written text.
And this is our 10th episode. Today, we're going to discuss the article titled Product Development Team Topologies.
You know, Clara, when I first encountered the original Team Topologies book by Matthew Skelton and Manuel Pais, I was fascinated by their concept of reverse Conway's law. The idea that organizations should intentionally design their team structures to produce the software architecture they want rather than letting random organizational patterns determine their technical outcomes.
That's such a powerful insight, Joke AI. It reminds me of how architects think about form following function, but in reverse. The team topologies approach is like saying, let's decide what building we want, then design the construction crew structure that will naturally build it. But your article suggests there's a missing piece in that architectural metaphor, doesn't it?
Exactly. The missing piece is the customer. Traditional team topologies focuses heavily on technical architecture, microservices, APIs, system boundaries. But I realize we need to ask a deeper question. What is the ultimate purpose of these technical systems? They exist to deliver products that solve real customer problems and generate sustainable business results.
So you're proposing a kind of triple alignment, not just team structure reflecting technical architecture, but also ensuring that both of these serve the product vision and ultimately the customer. It's like nested design principles where each layer reinforces the others. How does this play out practically with the 4 team types from the original framework?
Let's take stream-aligned teams as an example. In the traditional model, these teams own a specific portion of the system architecture. But in my expanded view, they should be customer-facing teams that own not just technical components, but entire value streams that customers actually experience. This changes everything about how you organize them.
That's fascinating because it shifts the organizing principle from internal technical logic to external customer value. You mentioned 4 different ways to organize these customer-facing, stream-aligned teams by product functionality, user type, user journey, or business objective. Each of these feels like it would create a completely different organizational personality.
You're absolutely right. Think about organizing by user type versus user journey. If you're building a fintech app and you organize by user type, you might have teams dedicated to retail investors, institutional clients, and financial advisors. Each team becomes deeply specialized in their users' needs, pain points, and success metrics.
But if you organize the same fintech app by user journey, you might have teams focused on onboarding, portfolio management, and withdrawals. Each team would need to understand how all user types experience their particular journey stage. It's like choosing between vertical specialization versus horizontal process expertise.
Precisely. And this choice isn't just organizational, it fundamentally shapes how your product evolves. User type teams tend to create more personalized, specialized features. Journey based teams typically optimize for seamless end to end experiences. And neither is inherently better. It depends on your product strategy and market position.
This reminds me of how different companies approach the same market with completely different organizational philosophies. Netflix organized around content types and viewing behaviors, while Disney Plus organized around brand franchises. Both work, but they produce different kinds of innovation and customer relationships.
That's a brilliant example, Clara. Netflix's approach enables them to optimize recommendation algorithms and viewing experiences across genres, while Disney's franchise based structure lets them create deeper, more immersive brand experiences. The organizational choice becomes a strategic differentiator.
Now, you also mention hybrid structures in your article, using proptech as an example. This feels like the reality most organizations face. They can't fit neatly into a single organizing principle. How do you balance the elegance of clear team boundaries with the messiness of real business complexity?
In the prop tech example, you might start with teams organized by user type, property managers, tenants, and landlords. But then within the property manager team, you realize that customer acquisition has completely different dynamics than customer retention and expansion. So you create sub teams focused on those specific business objectives.
So it's like a fractal organization. The organizing principle at the top level might be user type, but as you zoom in, different principles become more relevant. This requires leaders to be much more intentional about why they're choosing specific structures at each level. This raises an interesting question about transition challenges. Most organizations aren't starting from scratch. They have existing team structures, established technical architecture, and ingrained communication patterns. How do you recommend leaders approach the migration from traditional topologies to these customer focused structures?
That's perhaps the most practical challenge organizations face, Clara. I found that the most successful transitions start with customer value mapping rather than organizational restructuring. Before you change a single reporting line, you need to map out your current customer value streams and identify where they're broken or suboptimal in the existing structure.
So you're suggesting an audit first approach. Map the current state of customer value delivery, identify the gaps and friction points, and then let those insights guide the organizational changes rather than starting with theoretical team structures. But how do you handle the political and cultural resistance that inevitably comes with restructuring?
The key is making the customer problems visible and visceral to everyone involved. When teams can see concrete examples of customers struggling because of organizational silos, or when they witness customer value being lost in the handoffs between teams, the resistance often transforms into motivation. I recommend creating customer journey maps that show exactly where organizational boundaries create customer friction.
That's brilliant. You're using customer empathy as the change management tool. Instead of saying we need to reorganize for better efficiency, you're saying, look at how our current structure is failing our customers. It shifts the conversation from internal politics to external purpose. Have you seen organizations successfully use pilot programs or gradual transitions rather than big bang restructuring?
Absolutely. The most successful implementations I've observed start with a single high visibility customer value stream. Maybe it's the onboarding experience or a critical feature that multiple teams currently touch. You create one cross functional team that owns that entire value stream end to end, measure the results, and use those results to build momentum for broader changes. The pilot becomes proof of concept for the entire approach.
Exactly. And this intentionality extends to how enabling teams and platform teams sit into this customer focused model. Traditional team topologies sees enabling teams as technical consultants helping other teams adopt new technologies. But in your expanded view, enabling teams should also help other teams better understand and serve their customers.
Yes, and platform teams should be thinking about customer impact too. Instead of just providing internal APIs and infrastructure, they should be asking how their platforms enable better customer experiences. Maybe the platform team builds customer data infrastructure that makes it easier for stream aligned teams to personalize experience.
This makes me think about measurement and success metrics. In traditional team topologies, you might measure platform teams by system uptime, API response times, and developer satisfaction. But in your model, they'd also need to track how their platforms contribute to customer satisfaction, feature velocity, or business outcomes.
Absolutely. The metrics become more complex but more meaningful. A platform team might track not just how many teams are using our API, but how much faster can teams ship customer value because of our platform, or how much more customer data can teams leverage for personalization.
What I find most compelling about your approach is that it doesn't throw away team topologies, it builds on it. You're saying the technical insights are valuable, but they need to be grounded in product strategy and customer value. It's evolution, not revolution.
Exactly. Team topologies gave us crucial insights about cognitive load, team interactions, and the relationship between organization and architecture. I'm arguing we should apply that same systems thinking to the relationship between organization and customer value. The principles are consistent, we're just expanding the scope.
And this seems especially relevant as companies mature. Early stage startups might be able to stay purely technically focused, but as they scale and face more complex customer needs, they need these expanded team topologies to maintain their customer connection while managing technical complexity.
That's such an important point, Clara. Many scaling companies lose their customer focus because they optimize for technical efficiency without considering customer impact. They build beautiful architectures that don't translate to customer value. My expanded topologies are really about maintaining that customer connection through organization design.
It strikes me that this also changes how we think about Conway's law itself. Instead of just organizations design systems that mirror their communication structures, we might say organizations design experiences that mirror their value creation structures. The customer experience becomes the architectural blueprint.
I love that reframing. The customer experience as architectural blueprint. That's exactly what I'm advocating for. When teams are organized around customer value streams, they naturally build products that reflect those value streams. The organizational design becomes a product strategy execution mechanism.
This has been such a rich exploration, Joka. What I'll be thinking about after this conversation is how organizational design can be a form of product design, where the product being designed is the company's ability to consistently deliver customer value. It's meta design at its finest.
This has been a new episode of Beyond the Article, expanded by AI.
To read the original article and explore more content from Joka Torres, visit gayaco.com. That's GYACO. And at the end of the article, you'll find information about Joka's workshop services, mentoring, and digital books for those who want to implement product vision and culture in their company.
Thank you for joining us. See you in the next episode.